Thank you, Molly. Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. This is a great day for our university, certainly for our department, and a real look forward for our hockey program. And we're excited about this day for them especially. I'd like to take the opportunity to start with a few thank yous as we commence the press conference here this morning. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my staff. The last 22 days as we've done this search, I've been taken away from the day-to-day operations of the department for the most part. And I've had a great staff who's really picked up the pieces. In particular, Doris Griffin, Tom McElroy, Rocco DeLuca, from our communications and PR team, Molly O'Mara and Jillian Jacuba. My administrative assistant, Val McKemmy, who's answered a lot of emails and phone calls about this job. Rob Peterson, our CFO, and our HR specialist and assistant AD, Kevin Wisman. Thank you to them especially. Also to our hockey staff, when you make a coaching change, there's a lot that goes on in a transition period. And our assistant coaching staff and our director of operations have done a nice job in that transition, keeping our student athletes focused on academics, being in the strength and conditioning room and working outside of the sheet of ice. And in particular, Ryan Miller, Joey Gasparini, and Graham Johnson, like to thank them for their work during this transition. A special thanks to a gentleman who's here today, our Chancellor Subaswamy, for his support of our athletics program, in particular our hockey program. And I will tell you, it's a special thing and Greg got the opportunity to meet with the Chancellor, and Greg and his wife Dinah also had breakfast with the Chancellor on Monday. And it's a special thing when you have your Chancellor, your leadership engaged in a coaching process, because it shows commitment that the university has made specifically to our department and the hockey program. So, Swami, thank you very much for your support. And he acted as a recruiter, like most of our coaches, in recruiting Greg and his wife back to Amherst. Also to President Meehan and Jim Julian in our system office, great supporters of ours in this university, and we're going to have the opportunity to meet them this afternoon and introduce them to Greg. I'd like to thank them. I'd also like to thank our Vice Chancellor for University Relations, John Kennedy, our faculty athletic rep, Rebecca Spencer, who were part of this process as well. Really good advisors, were able to meet with Greg and help us through this process. And lastly, I'd like to thank our supporters, our fans, especially our hockey alumni. This process has really galvanized that group, and we look forward to working together to push the momentum that we have for hockey right now in this hire to great heights in our program. And really excited by this process and engaging with those people that are close to us and care about this program. And so I'd like to thank them for their support. I'd also like to just thank a few people that I spoke to during this process, and their names will stay in my files, but there's a lot of people in hockey. When you're a basketball guy and you're trying to do a hockey search and understand the intricacies of college hockey and what might be the best fit for us, there's a lot of folks that I talked to that were very helpful, and I've thanked a lot of them individually, but I just publicly like to thank them for their connection to us and keeping things confidential and making sure that we're looking in the right direction for our next hockey coach. This search took 22 days, and I will tell you that the first 7 to 10 days, it was really important for me to understand as much as I could about our hockey program and about how people internally viewed us, what our student athletes were feeling, and what people externally were saying about us. Because it was important for me to know what we were before we could figure out where we wanted to go with our next hire. And as part of that search, as part of that process, it was an enlightening 7 to 10 days, and I took some great notes and figured out that we needed a leader. We needed a teacher, a recruiter, someone who could be a role model for our young men, a hard worker, a strategist, a communicator, and a coach who could be a good teammate in our department and a partner as we build a championship caliber program. And so that led me to Greg Carvel. And I'm going to aggregate some of the things that people said about Greg, and those qualities that I just mentioned all came through when I discussed Greg with other folks. They said he's extremely well prepared. His teams play hard, they play with a purpose, and they play with a great sense of pride. He's tough but fair. He'll develop a program, not just good teams. He's smart, and his teams are smart. They don't beat themselves. And he is a student and teacher of the game of hockey. And most important to me was something that I got from somebody who I really trusted, who knows Greg pretty well. And this resonated. And I didn't hear this about every candidate, but I heard it especially, and it rang true with Greg, and it was compelling. And that was that Greg's a great human being. He's somebody who you want to work with every day. He cares genuinely about people and about relationships. And that was real. That was something substantive that I really latched onto. So you've read a lot about the things that Greg has done in hockey, and I'm not going to go through all of those, the 300-plus wins as an assistant in the NHL, the 2 Stanley Cup appearances. He's worked for some great hockey minds, and Joe Marsh and Mike Babcock and Brian Murray. His work at St. Lawrence is nothing short of remarkable. He's done a great job to turn that program around in 4 years. And one of the best things that you can do as an AD when you're looking at this hire, when you're looking at any hire, is to ask yourself 2 questions. The program that your head coach just left, did he leave it in better shape than he found it? And were they disappointed to see him go? And a resounding yes was the answer in both cases. And that's how I know we've got a really good head coach at the University of Massachusetts. Lastly, the cherry on top for me, and it was just added a little bit of flavor to the hire, was the connection that Greg and his wife have to this area and to the university. Greg is a 1998 graduate, master's degree from Eisenberg in sport management. He worked for Jack Arena, legendary Amherst college coach, in 1996, and has a personal connection to Jack to this day. His wife, Dinah, is from the Amherst area and has roots in this community. Her dad was a professor of philosophy here at the university. So that just added to the wonderful resume that Greg brought to this university. So it's my pleasure to welcome Greg, his wife Dinah, and their kids, Catherine, Ava, and Drew, back to Amherst. It's a special day for this university, an exciting day for our department and the future of our hockey program. It's with great pleasure that I introduce the 14th head coach of ice hockey at the University of Massachusetts, Greg Carvel. This.
I'm not 6'4", long way from it. Ryan, thank you very much for those kind words. I got to tell you, I'm extremely excited to be here. It's a wonderful day for me and my family. The connection that I do have with UMass and my wife in the area, like Ryan said, it just all added up, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me, and I'm very excited. I want to start with some thank yous first. Chancellor, you've been outstanding. You know, when they were basically recruiting me to come here, to have the Chancellor and Ryan and their persistence and how they were able to sell this place, it became an easy decision. So thank you very much. The leadership here is impressive and outstanding, and that's a big factor in my decision. So thank you. As Ryan mentioned, Jack Arena is a very good friend and a great hockey person, and he was very influential. He was the first person who came to me and said, Carvey, this is a home run, and you're the guy. They just need the guy, and so that was a big part of it. Toot Cahoon was outstanding. I spoke with Toot a couple times, and Toot's good friends with Joe Marsh, who was my greatest mentor, and between the two of those guys, very influential. Toot's a tremendous man, and I hope to be able to imprint on this program like Toot did, and I'm going to do everything I can to pull him back in and utilize him. He's a tremendous person. Great respect for him. I need to thank people at St. Lawrence for many reasons. President Fox, the athletic director, Bob DeRocher. I mentioned Joe Marsh, who simply my greatest mentor. He took me under his wing as a 14-year-old. I also grew up in Canton, and he the stories I have with him and what he's done for me, is just I cannot thank him enough. And finally, my family, my parents, my wife, for her unselfish support in every decision I've ever made in hockey. But we've made the right ones, and it's led us here today. So those are my thank yous. I got a call from Ryan about 10 days ago, and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't unhappy where I was. As I said, I grew up in Canton. I played at St. Lawrence. I captained the team. I went away. I came back, and I took over for Joe Marsh. And in 4 years, we took a team that was in the bottom of the league, and in 3 years, we pushed it to the top of the league. And so I was fully invested and very proud of what we did, and my staff, and what the university did to support me. So when Ryan first offered me the job, it was a very difficult decision. But every decision I've made in hockey has been about challenging myself. And I first challenged myself by leaving the East Coast and going out to Anaheim and coaching, working in the NHL. And I had a great position there. I worked with Mike Babcock and learned a tremendous amount. I then was offered the opportunity to move to Ottawa, and I wanted the challenge of coaching in a major Canadian city. And I helped take that team to the Stanley Cup Finals. I went back to St. Lawrence because I wanted the challenge of being a head coach and seeing what I could do to build not just a hockey program, but to build something special that included everybody, not just the players, but their parents, the fans, the community, the alumni. And so that was a great challenge for me, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. It was a lot of work, but I had a pleasure meeting with the players last night, and I told them, you're going to hear from me more than anything else. You get what you deserve. And I feel like at St. Lawrence, we were getting what we deserved. So, but as time went on, and, I didn't speak to a lot of people because, like Ryan, I didn't want this to be known that I was, investigating and very much interested in the position. Everybody who I spoke to just said the exact same thing. They're like, everything is there at UMass to be successful. And, as the emotion of moving away from St. Lawrence faded, my excitement grows and grows and grows. And from the second I told Ryan, yes, I want to come, I've been on cloud nine. I'm ecstatic about this. Ryan described me pretty well as a coach. And I think if you ask anybody, it's been pretty consistent. I consider myself a very passionate coach and ambitious at the same time. Very strong work ethic. My preparation is second to none. Attention to detail. My teams, like Ryan said, we play with a purpose. We play hard, and we play right. And that, for me, at St. Lawrence was as important as wins and losses. I wanted to be respected. I told my players we need to command respect. You don't demand it, you command it. And I felt in the last 2 years we had teams that commanded respect. We were a small resource school, but we worked our way up to the top of the league with teams with much bigger resources than we had, and very proud of what we did. The other thing I think, and Ryan touched on this too, the ability to build, and I take great pride in that. And I'm not just a hockey coach. I'm a guy who I feel I base everything on communication and connection. And some of these kids are going to go on and be very good NHL professional hockey players, but what we do here, there's a much bigger purpose. Like, this is the best 4 years of their life, and they need to have a coach who recognizes that, who wants to be an important part of that experience. And I worked in pro hockey for a long time, always knowing that I wanted to be here. I had to build a resume so someone would be like, oh, I'll talk to this guy. He's worked in the NHL. But I always wanted to be right here, right now, and I wanted to do it at a place where I thought I could make a big, big splash. And this is obviously the right place at the right time for me. I will work very hard to build this hockey team, but I will work just as hard to connect the student body to the team, the town, the alumni, and anybody in the state of Massachusetts who's a hockey fan, make them realize what goes on here. And, it's the one thing about me is I'm inclusive. I'm available. That's what I am. And I believe strongly that that's what made us a good hockey team at St. Lawrence. So, again, this is a tremendous opportunity. I know there's just about anybody else in college hockey would want this job, and I feel very, very honored. Very, very honored, and I'm very excited again with the leadership here. And this is my next challenge, and I can't wait to jump into it. So thank you very much.
We're going to start with some questions. If you've got a question, please raise your hand and wait for the microphone, and Jillian will come to you.
Coach Matt Votor from the Daily Hampshire Gazette. What's the first task? What's tomorrow or the first day you're back after getting settled? What's the first thing that needs to be addressed?
There's a lot. There's too much right now in my mind. I've got to get my family settled, which is a big part of it. But before I do that, I got to get a lay of the land. I got to meet staff. It was tremendous last night meeting the players, and it was a lot of give and take. I wanted to know what they felt about the program, what they felt needed to be done here. So I need to speak to a lot of people. Ryan's been outstanding, and the staff, everyone that I've met here in the short order. But I really got to get a control of the players, recruits, start with the team and then kind of build out from there, from assistant coaches to support staff. And that'll be my first steps. I'll probably spend the next couple of weeks getting that straightened out.
In your estimation, what's the magnitude of the building job? Is this an overhaul? Is it a tweaking somewhere in the middle?
Part of the appeal was I was told that there's a lot of talent here, and so there's such parity in college hockey. If there's talent, and you have to have much more than talent. I spoke to the guys last night about how will and character is just as important as skill, and so I got to find out what we have here. I've asked people I respect about what is here, and they say that they don't think it's a huge rebuild, but at the same time it is. I mean, when you finish where you did in the league, there's a lot of improvement. So it's work. That's fine. Like I just went through this, and I think this team's in a better situation than the one I came into at St. Lawrence.
Greg, George Miller from the Greenfield Recorder. Certainly a dozen years of NHL experience has distinguished you from other candidates in this process and also distinguishes you from your predecessors in this particular job. How have you found that those 12 years translated at the college level in terms of coaching, in terms of player development? How did you find that over the last 4 years at St. Lawrence, and how do you see it going forward?
It's a huge asset in many ways. I'll start with recruiting. Like it's easy to tell a defenseman that you've coached Derek Carlson, and it's easy to tell I've coached Zdeno Chara. I think I can handle you, and I learned a tremendous amount there. I worked with Mike Babcock. I went to Stanley Cup Finals with Mike Babcock and stood on the bench with him. That's experiences that carry a lot, and the kind of person I am, I learned as much as I could. I learned different things from different people. Like Mike Babcock is an extremely intense, energetic, motivated, intense guy. But then I worked for Brian Murray, who taught me the importance of relationships. And like you're at the highest level working with the best people in the world, you can't help but get better. I feel like I have a PhD in hockey for working 12 years and the experiences that I had there. What I do now is I run my program like an NHL team. The way we practice, the way we train, the way we do video preparation. So my kids I've had at St. Lawrence, when they go pro, they say this is exactly the same thing, maybe even not as good. So that's how I run things, and I think kids these days, that's what they want, and it's what they need. And then there's the development part. Like, I have a very good feel and understanding of when a kid is ready to turn pro, and I'm just aware of what it takes at that level. And the whole, my time in the NHL was tremendous, and it serves me very, very well.
How excited was your wife when she found out they're Amherst?
Well, there's two sides of that. There's coming home, but there's also she's a mom. Like, the nest is built, and whenever you try to take mom out of the nest with her kids, it's an emotional thing. So, but her parents both live here, and you know, we come back here very often. So I'm real excited to raise my kids in this area. I think it's a tremendous area, and it's a great opportunity for my family.
Any questions for Ryan or Coach?
Ryan, Jason Cates from the Daily Collegian. You're vocal on Twitter with the fans, so how does it feel to hear Greg say he wants to get that sense of community?
Oh, it's great. And we, excuse me, we talked a lot about that in the process. First time we met was last Wednesday night, and we met for 3 hours, I think, and felt like 10 minutes. It was great conversation and building engagement with our students and this community and our alumni. Having a presence in this state, which is a state that cares about hockey, very important. And he recognizes it. He recognizes it because he's been here. He's seen it. And he understands that. And that was, to be honest with you, when I did my homework on him, that was a strength of his at St. Lawrence. He is a unifier. He is somebody, and our tagline is Unite the Masses. He's somebody who can do that. And that really resonated with me in this process. It was very important.
Ryan, was there a moment in the interview or something that he said that you thought that something clicked and you started thinking this is the guy?
10 minutes in, I picked him up. We drove onto campus, and we're walking into the Mullen Center. And he hits me on the arm, and he says, 10 minutes, just met him. And he said, all right, am I selling you or are you selling me? And I kind of chuckled, and I stopped before we went into the building, and I said, let's just sell each other. Let's just sell each other on this, and let's just have a conversation. And it immediately, I think from there, we were just, through the whole process, I was very honest with him about what we were and where we're going and what my intentions are for this hockey program. And he was very forthright on how to build the program and how he's done it. And that started it, and the conversation again. 3 hours. I took him away from his family, who was here with him in Amherst, and I said, "Shoot, it's 9 o'clock. You gotta get home." So it was a great conversation, and from there it just that was literally a week ago, and it just took off from there. I knew we had our guy, and I just had to make sure that we could recruit him and secure him to the position.
You obviously knew things about the program in general, but did the process and the interest in this job give you that much more of a feel of how the program was perceived and what the program was capable of?
I will tell you, we had tremendous interest in this position, and it gave me, I knew that we would, but it validated everything I believe that this program can be. And I didn't have to sell the program to anybody. The program sells itself. The kids in the program, the bones, the structure, the infrastructure that we've got, the resources we're putting into hockey. My intention to be championship caliber hockey program, and the fact that we've got leadership that believes that we can do that. And when you have all those ingredients, that starts to pour out to people, and they understand in the hockey world. Hockey world is a small world. I learned that, certainly. And I think people knew that this was an opportunity to be highly successful for a long time. And So that was, I didn't have to sell it hard, and it was really nice to get that validated very early in the process with the candidates that we talked to, as well as others in the hockey community that said, I think you're sitting on an absolute, gold mine there.
Greg, Dan Malone from MassLive.com. You touched on in your opening remarks about how this is a home run and how all the pieces here. I wonder if you could specifically touch upon what you look when you see UMass hockey. What specifically you look at and see? These are the pieces that let you know that this is a place where it can be a home run if you do it right.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I needed to figure out, because I knew how to sell St. Lawrence, and which is a small school, and it's obviously a bigger situation. Again, Jack Arena and Toot were tremendous. The quality of the education, the reputation of the school is a great college town. I think I always loved coming back to Amherst. I love it here, and so it's an easy sell to get kids to come here. And then you bring them in here and you look at the arena. The facilities are great. Nothing you can complain about. And to combine that with what I think I can do as a coach, I just thought the whole combination was great. I think we're going to have a good time, an easy time recruiting here, and now it's up to us to hit the road and find the players.
Such that when you're competing at the top of that conference, you're competing at a national level, NCAAs and stuff like that. Is that what you have in mind for this program moving forward?
We'll push it as far as we can, as best as we can. I mean, I understand how difficult this league is. It's impressive, but again, I talked about challenge, and that's, if you're worth your salt, it's where you want to be, and you want to take your swing, try to hit a home run. I'll do everything I can, but I understand competition is stiff in this league. I don't come in here, and I don't think Ryan. That was a big part of it too. I wanted to make sure there's some realistic goals here, and it's we're gonna work our way up the ladder as best we can, and just see how far we can push it.
Thank you all for being here. Please feel free to join us out in the lobby area for a welcome reception. For our media members, we'll have a couple of our student athletes up here at the front, in front of the backdrop, for some Q&A, and Coach Carvel and Ryan will also be making their rounds at our reception. Thank you again. Have a great day.